Welcome to my live. I'm just setting everything up over here on the computer, kind of getting everything set up as I wait for people to enter. Okay. So welcome so much to my live. We're going to be talking about back to school prep and getting ready for the upcoming school year. If you are one of those people who are heading back in August, I know some people are lucky and maybe they started their summer a little bit later and they will be going back in September. But yeah, for those of us who are getting ready to go back in August, just kind of popping on here today just to talk about prep, what I'm doing to prep. This was literally like kind of my last week of break. We go back in for pre-planning next week, and so I'll be going ahead and working on stuff for that. I am actually going to be doing a professional development for my school on my data collection, kind of what I talked about in a video in the past. I will link it down below if you want to go check it out. But how I talked about doing my digital data collection and how it has saved time for me. I like to do things digitally. I've done things both on paper and digitally, but and they both have their pros and their cons. I think it's just really like what works for you and what you're going to do continuously is the most important thing so that we have our data and organization together. But I am going to go ahead and do that for my I'm going to do that for my coworkers and kind of show them how I have that all set up. So if that's something that you're interested in for next year, like I said, go check out that video and see what's in there. But I'm also finishing up my IEP video. Sorry, there's a string down here. It was kind of bothering me. So, oh, hey, how are you, girl? So, yeah, we're just getting that ready to go, and I don't have much I have to set up in my classroom. I was gonna do. I don't really know if I should do a classroom setup video because I'm not really changing much of the decor this year, keeping it pretty much the same. So I might just tidy up in there. I don't know. We'll see when we get in there. I do need to work on some of my classroom setup. I was going to rearrange some things in there, so I may do that as well. Oh, that's really exciting. I'm good. This is my last week before we go back for pre-planning for school. So I'm just trying to soak it all in. I took last week off from doing anything like on social media really because I have family in town. So I'm trying to get back at it again, get back into the groove. But that's exciting. You have fun with that. Sleepovers are always a good time. So, yeah. So are you going back to school soon or have you already started back? I know my previous state that where I worked, previous school, they're back in session today. Today is their first day. So happy first day to them. I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. But yeah, just kind of looking at what I need to get done. I'm going to restructure my my reinforcement center that I have in my room because it is kind of, I don't know. I wanted to kind of organize things by level that the students were on, just because it's getting expensive. They were shopping everything in there. So, but other than that, so if you're jumping in here, make sure to introduce yourself in the comments. Hit that like button. I know this was kind of a last minute decision to go live. I just kind of wanted to talk with everybody. I know there might be a lot of people prepping for back to school, maybe aren't even able to jump on this. So, but I just wanted to check in with the community because I had been kind of quiet with family and whatnot. Computer. So, I don't know. I'm hoping my kids start back up. Well, my son starts up with some stuff next week, and then my daughter goes back a little bit later. How's the school thing going? Like I said, Just kind of getting everything set up for the rest of the year. I'll get back to school. I had some meetings that I had to attend over the summer, but I'm super excited about that. I think it's going to be a good year. We have a lot of good things in place. I will say I'm nervous because I do teach junior high and I am very aware of what's on social media. And I know the whole NPC AI acting thing has kind of come in as a major trend. And I'm a little nervous that I'm going to start back up at school to a bunch of AI robots. I'm really kind of worried about that. I'm already seeing that. I mean, that's just part of it. When you're a teacher, you just have the kids all pop in on silly trends. You know, the 1-2 buckle my shoe. We had that one going down for a little bit. So the bottle flipping, all of that. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle asking a kid a question and getting, ooh, roses, like, smells good. That's probably going to drive me crazy. But you know, it's always something new in education, which is what I love about being a teacher. There is never a dull moment for sure. So that'll definitely add some flavor to this year. I'm excited to meet our new students. We have a very large 7th grade class coming in. And so that's going to be fun and interesting. And I'm excited to meet them and get to know them. I saw some of them as they were transitioning up to our school when we did our meetings, and they have some great little personalities. So I'm excited to get to meet them. But I'm really hoping that none of them come in as NPCs. That definitely is what I'm hoping for. But I'm still trying to get some stuff from my Amazon wish list. So I haven't gotten a lot sent in, which is fine. I understand everybody's kind of in a hard time right now, but it makes it really interesting because it's hard to fund all of that cool stuff for the kids, and I want to make sure that I can continue to do that. So hopefully that'll help. I saw that the CEO, I think of T-Mobile, was clearing lists, so I'm gonna have to go send mine in there. But I'm excited to get back in there. Like I said earlier, I'm presenting to all of my teachers next week on Friday about my data collection system. So I'm excited about that and nervous at the same time. Obviously, I'm used to talking to people on camera, and that doesn't really intimidate me. But talking to a bunch of adults in a room, that and using technology has me very nervous. I don't know how that's going to go down. So I will be excited to do that, but then it's also going to cause a lot of nerve-wracking anxiety. But I don't know. There's probably, I think, a part of me that likes that. So, but other than that, I don't know. It's been a really good summer. It's been a busy summer. Got that chance to relax a little bit, working on some of my first day of school activities. What do you like for first day of school activities? I know that I tend to like to do surveys with the kids. I do them as a teacher moving forward, but also as kind of like a community builder, getting to know them, knowing what they like. So I like to do like preference assessments with them, things that they like to do, their interests, snacks they like, when their birthday is, that kind of stuff, to try to get to know them. But what kind of activities do you think have been helpful for back to school? Because I think that I don't know, it's really important to have engaging things that students enjoy. I know that as a teacher, I don't always enjoy having to go in and do icebreakers because I know not everybody feels comfortable sharing publicly about stuff. I'm one of those people that if you put me on the spot when they go around the room and they have you introduce yourself and say your name and say what you do, I always have to sit there and rehearse in my mind like what my name is and where I teach. Because my mind will go blank when I'm standing in front of people and they ask me that question, and I don't want to put kids on the spot for that, because I'm like, if I'm an adult and I've been living on this world for as long as I have, and that still stresses me out, I can only imagine like how it makes a kid who feels a little bit more shy to have to stand up in front of everybody and talk about themselves. So but I plan on doing that. I really want to, set the routines and procedures. We're in Florida, so they have instituted a cell phone ban. I'm not quite sure how it's all going to roll out. There's going to be a lot of like routines and procedures and protocols set in place for cell phone management in the classroom. So I'm interested to see how that is going to pan out, but I plan on making sure that, we just kind of set it up front. Like they're older. Come on, guys. Like I want you to make mature decisions and just know to put it away. We don't need to have it out. So that's kind of like the game that we're going with for next year, to kind of start off with, we all have to do this, teachers included. So, it'll all go a lot easier if we just do what we need to do. But I'm trying to think of some really fun activities that we can do throughout the year. We have a reward day that we do on Fridays. So the kids, they earn points. I like to think of it kind of like how they do in Harry Potter. But the kids earn points for doing the right stuff, for making those good choices, for answering questions in class and getting them right, and that kind of thing, and following the rules. And they can use those points and cash them in for our school store. Additionally, we also do some fun like celebration activities, and I'm trying to think about some of the things that I want to do this year that I think the kids would really enjoy. I know that like last year if you've not seen what my classroom looks like, I have a video linked on my channel. You can go check it out. But my classroom, because I'm not like a classroom teacher, I'm a behavioral resource. I have like video games and fidgets and games and Legos and all of that stuff up in my room. And a lot of the kids just like to come in and, kind of play multiplayer video games together. But I know that's not what all students want to do. So I'm trying to expand our options for next year and make it so that it's enjoyable for all kids. I personally wouldn't want to play video games as a reinforcer. I'd want to do something else. So yeah, I'm trying to find some things that would be interesting. So if I see some other people popping in, lurking, if you will. So if you want to, you can always just go ahead and just say hello in the chat. It's all cool here. And I'm glad you're here and you decided to pop in and join us. So coming up for next year, some of the things I want to make sure that I do next week is get a hold of my parents and contact all of them, and just so they know who I am, how they can get a hold of me, that I do communicate a lot through email, that I do send our data sheets home through email, and they can kind of be prepared for that. I just want them to know who I am. We have our open house, but I know not everybody can always make open houses. I know with work schedules and stuff. So I do want to touch base with all of my parents. I think it's really important in the beginning of the year to touch base with the parents, and so that they feel comfortable talking to you and you have that positive communication. I really stress that I don't want the first call home and the first call of parents to be something negative. I think it just sets the wrong tone. I want it to be a positive experience. So that is what I'm aiming for this year, to do that. So it's going to be really, really busy. I want to take everybody along. I'm hoping to do a vlog style if that's something you'd like to see. Like I said, it's not going to be your traditional classroom setup per se, because I'm very blessed this year that I am not in a new room, and I was not expected to tear down my room. So to save some sanity, I'm really not doing much new to it. But I did want to take you all along. I know last time we did a video, I had gotten some requests. People wanted to see what our sensory room looked like and some things on our campus. So I do kind of want to take people around for that and try to show you all some of the stuff that I'm doing to get organized and prepped for back to school. I know the one thing that I really do stress is not to get hung up so much on the classroom decor. Yes, that makes really cute social media posts and really cute YouTube videos. I'm telling this for myself because I don't want to get pulled into it, but it costs a lot of money, and the kids aren't necessarily going to remember all the cutesy stuff in the room if you don't build that connection with them. So I really want to get the systems organization stuff in place so that I am not stressed, so that I am regulated, so that I can build those relationships with the kids and not be freaking out because I don't have like the paperwork part and the organization part of my job done, and that I'm just not where I need to be. I want to be able, when they come in, to be able to sit down and be able to get to know them and I don't want to feel like I spent all of my time trying to decorate my classroom for social media. So I will take people along and just show you what I have for those who are curious. So if there's anything particular you want to see or you have questions about, or you'd like something more in depth than what I've already done in my video, then I would love for you to come along for that. Like I said, anything that I'm going to stock or put into, we're pretty well stocked in my school store. I was a little proactive about it last year and made sure that I got stuff, and I tried to hold it over so that we'd have it, because I know that August is always tough. They kind of disperse our pay weird here in Florida, so I've had to be kind of like careful because we don't get our first like real paycheck again. They pay us like a big lump sum at the beginning of the summer, and you got to divvy it out and like be responsible with it, which I've been really responsible with it, but it's just things are expensive. So I've been trying to be like super frugal and super careful because I just don't want to like overspend. There's this thing about, even when you have it in your savings account, it's like this mindset that you have all this money to spend, but you really don't. So you have to take that extra step to be super careful about it. But I've been working on some products that I wanted to put on my TPT store. I have some freebies as well. I did some cute like little decor pack freebies that are on my TPT stores. So they're like the schedule that you can cut out and put them on your board. Those are free. I just have some other like schedule, like decorative things that are freebies on there as well. An interest inventory that's free. I also put together a bundle of some other stuff that I put together. Of course, I have all my teacher planners, so go check those out. I worked really hard on those, so hopefully they can be helpful to someone. I always don't like the planners that I found at the store. I feel like a lot of them are not very helpful, especially if you're like a special education ESE teacher, because they're set up in my mind for general education. So I designed them for teachers, special education teachers in mind. So I have them set up so you have where you can list in all your IEP dates, and I have them so you can put in like any important, there was a noise going on outside that distracted me. I have them so you can put your important IEP dates in there. I have them so you can put your IEPs at a glance in there. I have small group rotations for teachers who do pull out, they're in there, or if you're pulling your kids aside for their services, their specially designed instruction, have all of that blocked out so that you can plan separately for those things when you want to progress monitor, that kind of stuff. So it's very much tailored. And then of course the big calendar, which is the part that honestly in every planner is what I use the most of. So, but I do like to have the small planners, and it's nice, like the small group planner, sorry. It's nice to have those too, because when you get observed, in the past, I can just literally give that to my administrator and they can see what I'm doing. They can see what IEP goals I'm working on. They can see what students I'm working with. And that makes it easy, because a lot of administrators, when they come in to observe teachers, some of them do have like a special education background, but not all of them do, because it is a specialization. So they may not completely understand what you're doing and they may not see the vision. And it helps with that when they can come in and kind of see what you have spread out. It makes it easier for them when they can see what your day-to-day looks like if they have not been a special education teacher themselves. So, because it's just a different world. Gen Ed and special ed, they look different in how you deliver the instruction. So you're going to see a lot more in a special ed classroom with, you're going to have multiple adults generally. So they're going to be looking at like how you manage paraprofessionals. They're going to look at how you run your small groups and how you implement the specially designed instruction for the students. So you want to make sure that you're demonstrating that in a way. And I think it's easier than actually putting together like a full-blown lesson plan. So if you're interested, go check that out. And hopefully it could be helpful to you if you're trying to get organized. But I've also been working on some social skills packets and open-ended like prompts for students as well. So trying to do some stuff on like social media awareness and vaping, which are stuff that, with teenagers we work on, and kind of having a passage they can read and then they can follow and fill out those and kind of reflect and use that as a discussion point in conjunction with the social skills curriculum. So if you have any questions, put anything in here because I'm just kind of rambling and talking off of my head. I think I'm definitely seeing that I probably should have promoted this more. Like I said, it's been busy having family in town. It did post we went to the beach. We went to the beach at 5 a.m., which I recommend everybody doing. It was not, actually, by the time we got there, it was like 6 a.m. But I woke up at 5 a.m. to go to the beach, and I definitely recommend it. I really do. I think that it's good to kind of have that once in a lifetime. I don't know if I'm going to wake up again and do that. It was early, but it was worth it. It was so beautiful and so peaceful. And I've been having a lot of anxiety about going back, not because I don't want to go back. I definitely want to, but I'm having a hard time with leaving behind the slow mornings that come with the summer, where you just kind of wake up and you go out in the back and you walk the dog and you go work out, to the crazy fast mornings and the crazy fast routine that comes. I think I've seen a lot of people on social media saying teachers just don't like their jobs, and they're complaining and complaining. And I don't think we're complaining. Like we're creating content where we can laugh, because a lot of us, it's hard. It's just like it is for the kids. I'm fine once I get back into the routine of school. I will say, like, I don't really sleep well the night before we go back because I have a lot of anxiety, just like students do. That is something to remember. If you're a student, a lot of teachers they have a lot of anxiety about back to school. They're very nervous. We worry about a lot of the same things that students do. Are people going to like me? Am I going to do a good job? Am I going to be able to do this? A lot of that imposter syndrome. Even going into like my 9th year of teaching, I'm feeling that. So, it's very normal. But I think I always tell my kids, my own children, like, if you can get through the first 2 days, you'll be right back at it again. It's just ripping off the Band-Aid and getting back in there. But it does. Like, when summer comes to an end, it's very bittersweet. Like, you're happy to get back and see your colleagues and get back into the routine, because even though I work out every single day, I eat crap. I eat crap over the summer, and I eat a lot better because I'm on a routine during the school year. And I'm busy, so there's not a lot of like the snacking type stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to a normal sleep schedule, but I'm not looking forward to just the busy mornings, because I have to take my son to school in the morning. He goes to practice really, really early in the morning for cross country because it's too hot to run in the afternoons in Florida. So he'll go in the morning, and then I drop him off, and then I teach a junior high, which a junior high starts like an hour, almost like 2 hours after the high school starts. So it's kind of like I'm up really early for no reason. And then, well, for a good reason. But then I have to take my daughter to school, and it's like boom, 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 boom. And then you get to school, and it's never, when you work in a behavioral program, it's never just chill, slow moving into the day. It's like you hit the ground running the minute your feet hit the pavement of the school. And although I love that adrenaline rush, it is a huge like shift from how you feel when you're on summer, where everything's slow and relaxed, to go, 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 go. And then afterwards I leave and I take the kids to practice, and we come home, we do dinner, and we take care of the animals, and it's wild. So that is what I'm going to be mourning, I think. And I think that's what a lot of teachers miss is, I don't know. I've never taught when I didn't have kids. So I would have to ask a teacher who does not have children at home and isn't married or anything like that, what it's like for them, if it feels less chaotic or if they feel like they have more free time. But I know as a teacher, mother, and wife, I feel like it's wild. It's very busy, and you just hit the ground running every single time. My computer keeps timing out over here. So if you see me over here, that's what I'm doing. But I don't know. I know my kids are nervous. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I know they don't like me always talking about them on the internet because they're private. But I know my kids are nervous. And because my son's starting high school this year, my daughter is going into the 8th grade. So it's a lot of big changes. And I think it's really important to remember that a lot of that is just anxiety. And that once we get in there and we start living it, that we're going to fall right into the routine really fast, and it'll be good. Life will be good. I have a lot of hope. I think it's going to be a really good school year. Um, I did a lot of stuff at the end of the year to kind of like set it up so that it would be, which is always my advice to other teachers, to try not to get too much into the summer mode and just shove everything into a closet and not worry about how next year's going to lay out. If you can just push through the desire to vacate the school as fast as you can, and actually, I'm going to lose my voice, and actually put forth the effort to set yourself up for a good year, the next year you will appreciate it. So like when I put stuff up, I try to pack my room up in a way that's not going to overwhelm me when I come back. And I try to put systems in place. We already had an idea of where kids were going to be scheduled and how we were going to have, like, what kids were going out for out classes and what kids were going to be back. We worked really hard on getting those systems in place before we left, and it is yet to be seen, but I think it's going to help a lot. I mean, I've already met with my administration team, and they've already thinks it's going to help us a lot. So I'm super excited because all of my favorite teachers are coming back that I work with, and they're all amazing, and we're going to have a new one joining our team, and I think it's going to be a good year. Like, I think we're going to have a really solid team, and I'm super excited. I mean, we have some people who left and went on to other things, and I wish them the best of luck, but I'm excited for the people who did choose to come back because they're phenomenal. So I think it's going to be good. I mean, that's always that way in education. You always, especially in Florida, you have a lot of turnover because, you know, you have a lot of districts in the area, plus we have a lot of military. Like, I'm military myself. So, you know, people just shuffle in and out sometimes, and you got to be flexible with that. But I don't know. I think it's going to be, if anybody has any questions, I don't want to like stay on here and chat everybody's ear off unless they have anything for prep. If you're interested, and I can put it in the poll, I could probably do a live at some point from my room after my contract hours. Obviously, I'm not going to go live when I'm on my contract hours because my job is my job first. That's my first priority. YouTube is second. That's what always makes it hard about vlogging. I love to do vlogs and I love to watch vlogs. And I wish I could do, I don't know if you've ever watched Michelle Foray, Pocket Full of Primary. I love all the teaching vlogs that she put in, and I wish I could do more of those, but I can't always because my job is a lot of like downtime and then chaos. And so it's not like a traditional teaching job where I know that we're going to be doing a reading group or we're going to be doing an art activity or something like that. Like there may be a day where I want to set up a vlog and all I'm doing is typing, doing paperwork on my computer, and nobody wants to watch that. And then there's times where it's like crises, and I, for very obvious reasons, I'm not going to be queuing in my phone for that kid, you know, because everybody deserves their privacy. And also because my first priority is always to my teaching job. So then I feel like I just get on and like, yeah, this is what we did today. And I don't know if that makes the most interesting vlog. So I would like to do some more. If there's anything specific that you would like to see that I can show you that doesn't monopolize my contract time, because that is, like I said, my first priority is to my classroom. But I also want to kind of show you, this is my classroom. My first priority is to my students and their needs, and I don't want to be all focused on YouTube. But I do want to show you stuff if you're curious about being a teacher, or you're curious about what we do, or what I do specifically, like ways that I can kind of cue you in on that in a way that's interesting to you to see, and in a way that's not monopolizing valuable time. Yes, I do want to do a vlog while I'm in school. And like I said, I will try to go ahead and do that the best I can. I did my end of the school year vlog. I tried to schedule vlogs when I know we're doing something. Because like I said, with the nature of my job, because I don't have a designated class, I am like a coach. So my primary function with my job is I push in to the classrooms and I work with the teachers and I work with the students. And yes, no, I think that's good. And that's the thing. Like I want to do that in a way that where I can showcase working with the kids, but I also don't want to put kids on my channel. They have their right to privacy. So it's interesting how to do both of it in a way that you can kind of showcase what you do. But like I said, I push in with teachers. I do a lot of professional developments. I will go in and help run small groups and that sort of stuff. Okay. What's my best tip for making a schedule for pull out minutes? So I'm going to go ahead and actually be making a YouTube short today, and I can show you that. I can also address it more in another longer video where I can show you, but I will tell you right here. It's hard to show in live. So there's probably a way, I just don't know how to do it yet. But I like to set up like a Google Sheet. And what I will do is I will put all of my students, and then I will put what classes they get services for, like across, and like what like their homeroom teacher is. And so if I look in there and let's say that I have 5 students and they all have Miss Smith, for example, and she's math and I'm doing pull out for math or whatever, then I have to collaborate with her and we need to set up a time that I can do pull out. We will come up with a time. I will block that off in my little sheet, and I know it's hard to explain that, so I can show you more on how I do that. But basically, I just look through the times I have in the day, and I look through what students I have to pull out, and I look in what classes they're in and how their minutes are, and I put that all in a Google Sheets. And that way I can see it. I'm a very visual person, so I need to all see it. And I will color code in my Google Sheets. So if they're all getting math, I would pull them out for like red or whatever color you want to use. I always think of math as red and ELA as blue or reading as blue, but it's really what you want to do. And then I block those out and I try to keep them by, I think it's easiest to group kids by need, not necessarily age or grade level. So if you know you're pulling kids and you're working on decoding specifically, you may not want to stick those with your reading comprehension kids who maybe don't have reading fluency or decoding issues. So you're going to stick your reading comprehension kids in a different group because that's going to be a different strategy. So you may pull them at a different time, or if you have a para with you, you may rotate how you do that. But like I said, my biggest thing is just blocking it off. And I think your starting points, of course, is they're going to give you your student list and your student class schedule, and that is getting with the general education teachers and collaborating when a good time to pull those kids are and for how long you need to pull them for, and then set schedule based off of their IEP minutes. So it may be 45 minutes twice a week. It may be 45 minutes every single day. It may be consultation. It may be push in, and you need to set that all out. And like I said, put it out visually where you can see it, color code it. I also like to do it in Google Sheets because I can share that with my administrator and I can share that with the teachers that I'm working with so they can all see my schedule. If you can't get with all of them or you're worried about time, I would also recommend sending out like a Google form to those teachers about the times that you have available and what times work for them, and try to use that as input. That can kind of give you an idea too if you want to get everybody really quickly. And then input that in there, because sometimes if you have a lot of teachers, I don't know, Josh, how big your caseload is, but if you have a really large caseload, you may have a lot of teachers you're working with, and sitting down with each of them might be kind of hard. But I do recommend, if you can, to do that. So yeah, I like to pull in trends to engage students. Like I said, I will laugh if they come in and do the NPC stuff. We'll have a good laugh in the beginning. I'll probably even tell them to get it out of their system. But if we're trying to talk about something serious and then you want to respond with roses, smells good, we might need to like readdress that. So hopefully, Josh, that was helpful. And like I said, I put on there on my channel what video you all wanted to see next. I'm working on 2 videos simultaneously right now. So I'm finishing up my IEP goal writing and and my accommodations that went with my IEP series. Those ones take a long time because I actually have to write a fictional IEP. So I'm sorry I'm kind of slow on the go with that one, but I'm finishing up that one. Then I also wanted to do one about beginning of the year prep and kind of show you guys some of the things that I do and then give you links if you wanted to try any of those resources. Because like I said, I'm sitting here talking on it live, but that is what I use. I set everything up in Google. In the past, sometimes too, I've even just started it off on like a piece of paper or even post-its and kind of moved them around, and then I went in and I put it in Google as well. But it doesn't really matter. It's whatever works for you. You just have to have a system in place. Yeah. So and like I said, the biggest thing I found is just communicating with the teachers, because you'll sit there and you'll think you have everything ready and you'll be so happy and your schedule looks perfect, and then the teacher will come to you and go, I decided to change my reading time. And you're like, please don't do that. I had everything locked in there. But it happens every single time. Like, I feel like I've got our schedules ready to go, and I have a feeling that I'm going to go in there and there's still going to be kinks. So be prepared to be flexible. You'll find a system. You probably won't have everything perfect the way you want it until second week of school, maybe even third. Schedule changes are real, especially if kids are filtering in. And then you'll have everything nice for a little while and you'll be happy, and then you'll get a new kid on your caseload and they'll have very specific needs. That is just the name of the game. But if you can get like a skeleton structure together, that will help you. And the nice thing about it, doing it in Google as well, is you can make a copy of it for the next year and just re-input different information, and it'll save you a lot of time. So you may be putting a lot of work on the front end this year, but then you'll have that document for the future to use, and it'll make life a lot easier for you. So yeah, I like your idea of doing that, the check-in, check-out systems. Yeah. I've done those in the past, and the kids do like them, and they can kind of put things like in the pocket, and that way you can talk to them if they need to. And the other thing I'm going to do, I ordered it on Amazon. I'm really excited. They have these like little handheld shredders, and I have a lot of kids that have a lot of things they want to say and get off their chest, and maybe it's about someone they don't like, or a teacher they don't like, or a feeling they feel uncomfortable with, or whatever, for whatever reason, and they don't want someone to see it, but they need to get it out in the open. And so I've encouraged a lot of kids to write down their feelings. So instead of saying to a classmate, like, you're really annoying, you get on my nerves, I wish you'd just like effing shut up or something, and then that gets them in trouble because they screamed at a peer and they cursed at them, and then they became the behavior, even though the other kid may have been annoying them. They need an outlet. So I've talked to a lot of my kids in the past about writing stuff down, but then they're afraid if they get caught with a notebook that has things in it or whatever, they're going to get in trouble. So I wanted to do the little handhelds shredder, so they could take whatever they wrote after they got their feelings out, and then we could run it through the shredder, and they could like physically see those feelings and emotions, like they're just getting rid of them. And I don't know, for me, it seemed like it would be very therapeutic. I know not all kids are going to be like gung-ho about it, but there might be some that might be like a pretty good strategy for them, as well as doing the check-in and check-outs with them as well. I always try to do that because, like I said, since I don't have a designated class, my role is I'm there and I'm available anytime kids do need to talk. So if they're feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, or someone's getting on their nerves, or their teacher's bugging them, then they can always come over to my room and talk to me about it, which is one of the reasons why it makes it hard to film vlogs, because I'm not going to film that ever in a million years. But that is a part of my job. So kids will come in and they'll want to talk about stuff, and we'll kind of process those emotions, because you're always going to be working with people you don't like. It's just a part of it. Yes, I have some cozy corners in my room, and all of our teachers in our unit have cozy corners. Like, we call them calming centers, but they usually are beanbag chair. They're a place with fidgets. It's kind of quiet and blocked off and private. So, like, if you need to go sit over there and just like separate, if that doesn't work in the classroom, like if it's still not enough space, they can opt to come over to my room, because my room usually has me or an assistant in there, but it's nothing crazy. It's usually very quiet. And sometimes kids just want to come in and just sit in the quiet. which, especially if you have a very loud classroom that you're in, or if you have a teacher that you like, but maybe they just talk really loudly and you got a headache and you're just not emotionally available for that, or you want to come over and even work quietly. A lot of them will come over to my room and they'll work on their work. So when they're doing classwork, because maybe some other kid, you have those days where you're just not feeling well, your anxiety's on an 8, and you may like the kid sitting next to you, but man, they're breathing loud, or they're tapping their pencil, or they're fidgeting while they work, and you just can't handle it. And so they'll come over and work in my room because I try to keep it really quiet, do the calming music. I kind of want to get, I don't know, I'm debating on this. I kind of want to get one of those little like serene water fountain things in the room. I had a fish tank in my house, and I always liked it because I felt the fish tank was just such a calm background noise with like the water trickling. But I don't know if I want to do a fish tank because they're a lot of work. And my portable doesn't have access to plumbing, so if I have to do a water fish tank transfer, I'm going to have to go all the way into the building, and that sounds like a lot of work. So I don't think that I'll be doing a fish tank, but I thought about like a little water fixture. I don't know. The kids might think that's kind of cool. But yeah, I do have one of those calm centers, and you'll see that because, like I said, I plan on doing a video and just showing you how I set up for the year. It won't be like a classroom setup per se, but I'll show you what I do, some of the procedures I get in place, and I'll show you my room again so you can see some of those things that we have. But like I said, all of our units have those. We also have a sensory room if the kids need it. Most of our kids don't use the sensory room though, but we do have one. It's available to us. I had a lot more kids at the elementary level. When I did elementary, we used the sensory room all the time. We actually had it on a rotation, so it was part of one of our activities for the day. So we would do our morning meeting, we would do reading, we go out for recess, we come back in and finish like our snack and our reading block, and then after a reading block before lunch, we go to the sensory room, we go to lunch, come back, and then they had activity, and that was pretty much like math, and then we were done. So obviously we had social studies and science in there. I guess I left those out, but we used our sensory time to kind of break up our day, and we know the kids need that. Little kids need to move a lot. So any other questions? Oh, I see some more stuff popping up there. Yeah, that's not okay. And like I told you when we talked last time, yeah, I think you need to let them know, whether either write them a letter or you ask to sit and talk to them. I think you need to let them know that that sort of stuff hurts your feelings. It is important to learn to advocate for yourself. I teach that to my students because people don't know what they don't know. And sometimes us old people, and I'm telling you that, like they think they're being funny, or they think they're cracking jokes, or they're trying to be the cool teacher, and then some of the stuff that they're saying is passive aggressive and hurtful. I always try to tell my teachers that although some teenagers like to communicate through sarcasm and they think it's funny, you need to know your students because not all kids like that. And sarcasm makes them feel uncomfortable and it makes them feel insecure. And I tell them to avoid sarcasm all the time. I try to be very like matter of fact. But I know my kids that do like to have that joke back and forth, and they're the ones who initiate it. And then if we talk about it, and we know that that's cool. But I also know I have some students who are very literal, and they do not appreciate that. They want very clear, concise communication. And so I don't use sarcasm, but I know a lot of teachers do that. And I think if they knew how much it hurt the students they were with, and they also understood that a lot of our neurodivergent students, especially those autistic students, don't always understand sarcasm, and they don't interpret it the same way. They interpret it literally, and it hurts their feelings. I think if a lot of teachers better understood that, then they wouldn't do it, because I really don't think that they intend to hurt kids' feelings. I think either they're burned out, and maybe they need to work on what triggers them and do some self-reflection, or they're trying to relate to the kids and they're trying to be funny and it's coming out wrong. So if it's something that's being said and it's hurting your feelings, it is really important to try to talk to them. And if you feel like you can't talk to them in person just yet, you don't feel comfortable. If you have an adult on your campus, like a guidance counselor or another teacher or something that another person you feel like you can communicate this with, that can kind of be your go-between person, that will help you a lot too. Yeah, that's another thing you need to express, that you don't like to be touched. You sound similar to one of my children. We're kind of in that, my child doesn't like that either. My child has learned, yeah, well, that's, you need to let them know. You need to let an adult know. You do. Like your boundaries are important and you need to express that. And it's okay. I've taught my kid that, politeness has its place, but you also have to advocate for yourself. And you don't have to yell and scream, but you can be like, hey, I don't like that, please don't do that. And if they don't respect that, and there's not an, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, didn't mean to offend you, which is the appropriate response from an adult to a student when something like happens and you accidentally cross a boundary and you hurt their feelings, if you don't get that appropriate response, then you need to talk to a trusted adult. All right. And let them know how you feel and let them handle that for you. Okay. Um, because if all students should feel comfortable at school. Yes. Yeah. A lot of my students have ADHD. My own children have ADHD. I have ADHD. So it's, I think with ADHD, going back to what you were talking about with the whole feeling like it's uncomfortable speaking for yourself. There's two camps of ADHD. There's the ADHD individuals who say what's on their mind, and then there's the ADHD people who um, tend to, and I land in this camp, who tend to be the people pleasers, and they don't want to hurt people's feelings, and they have a lot of that rejection sensitivity, and so they don't always voice what their concerns are. So it's important, but it's so important to learn to advocate for yourself, especially like as a student. I always try to teach my students to advocate for themselves, because while you're in school, you have an IEP, and there are people responsible for making sure that IEP is implemented under the law. But when you graduate and you either go off to college or you go to a job, it's up to you to let people know what you need and to set your boundaries. So I, especially at the secondary level, really start teaching my students. Yes. So do you have a person at school that you can talk to? Like a guidance counselor? Because I think that would be really helpful. Because I know in my position, I've definitely help my students advocate for themselves. Because I know it's scary to have to be in that position and stand up for yourself, especially when you're a kid and you feel like either your boundaries are being crossed or your needs aren't being met. And it can be hard to do that as a kid, and that's why it's really helpful if you have either. Yeah, well, it's good that your parents have your back, and that's a good start. Uh-oh. Hopefully we didn't just go out. I had like a weird message that said something went wrong. But it is good that you have your parents, and they can be a great resource to you. But I would talk to your parents about seeing if they can find someone who will help you at school too. Because like I said, there's someone who probably has a job similar to mine, or a guidance counselor, or even like an administrator. Sometimes there's some really good administrators. But everybody needs to have a person. They need to have a person at their school. I think teachers, we need to have our mentor teacher, the teacher, or not even mentor teacher, like a buddy teacher, someone that we can vent to and someone we can confide in. And kids need to have a teacher that they can confide in. It's all very important, for sure. And so I wish that, I want that for you. So I would talk to your parents about helping you find someone that you can talk to. And I will tell you too, like this is a tough age. Like I was telling my kid who's going to high school, I'm like, you made it through junior high, the 7th and 8th grade, which they call it over here in the US. and or 7th and 8th year. And those are the hardest times. Like it does get easier as you move up and you become more mature and more like self-aware and able to express yourself, and your peers around you do as well. Yes, well, hopefully that should be good. It's nice to get a fresh start, and I think it's the same sometimes with teachers and with kids. There are schools that are doing things the right way, and you have people who care, and you have administrators who care, and then you have other ones that are kind of toxic, and which is sad. It should be universal across the board, but it's not always the case, and or it's just not even the right fit for you as a teacher or as a student. And I always advocate that if you can't find the right fit, like if you're not at the right fit and it's impacting your mental health, that your mental health comes first. So if you're a teacher and things aren't going well and you need a fresh start, go to a different school, work there. I advise that before you give up on even teaching, honestly, because I've worked in schools where it was really rough and I wasn't exactly happy. And then I've worked at schools where I loved going to work. I loved my bosses, of my coworkers. Right now, I'm definitely at one of those schools. And it's game changing when you're in the right environment. And I know as a student, the same applies. I moved around a lot as a kid and I went to schools that were good fits for me, and it was a completely different environment, where the kids were nice and the teachers were compassionate and everybody upheld safety and standards, and it was a good place for me to be. And I've also been at schools where it wasn't a good environment, and I think it's good that you recognize that and you move if you have to. You switch it up. So I do wish you the best. I wish everybody that we have a really good year this year. And I want to pop on more lives, especially if you have questions. I will always tell you this. Don't hesitate to reach out. My whole purpose for doing this YouTube channel was to try to help other teachers, because I've been in the situation where I kind of felt alone at my school, and I didn't really feel like I had a mentor. So I felt like I needed someone. And this field can be very isolating sometimes, and it's good to have other people you can talk to, some people who are not even associated, because I know since I didn't feel comfortable talking to my coworkers about stuff because I was afraid that might get in trouble if I vented or whatever. So it's nice to have people from the outside objectively see what's going on. We can kind of bounce ideas off of. I do like teaching. I really do. It's been hard. I'm not going to lie. Since COVID, it's been really hard, but that was, I think, to be expected. And I think the hardest part that came from that, if I'm being very blunt, is that when COVID hit and we had all these major changes, I think everybody hoped that the landscape of education would change a little bit, that we would learn from some of the experiences that we had to, adapt and change, and that change worked for us, and that a lot of teachers were hoping that it would kind of change the landscaping of education a little bit. And the things would improve for the better. And when we came back, we kind of came back to a lot of hostility and a lot of anger and a lot of not wanting to change. And I think a lot of teachers got very frustrated. On top of that, we recognized that a lot of students had a lot of unmet needs, and everybody has kind of collectively gone through it, whether it was hard for you or not. I was very blessed that it wasn't a super stressful situation for me, but I know for a lot of people it was. And so everybody kind of came back with their own stresses. So coming back from COVID has been hard. Things, I think, are still a little bit wild, but in terms of working with students and students reacclimating to the school setting, I think that has evened out a little bit. We are seeing an uptick in behaviors, which I think is making it hard for a lot of teachers right now, because some of them don't feel supported. But even with all of that being said, I still very much love what I do. And I am excited to see my students, and I'm excited to go to work every day. I can promise you, if I didn't love what I did, I wouldn't do it anymore. So I would go find something else. My favorite lessons. Oh, you're so very welcome. My favorite lessons, I love like English literature and I love reading and I love teaching that kind of stuff. I also love teaching social studies. I always really enjoyed, I taught seventh grade social studies there for a while and I really enjoyed teaching about all the wars and getting into that and talking about real people. I think one of my favorite, oh my gosh, there was a lot of them. I loved I love teaching history and I love teaching and reading. Of course, right now, my favorite thing to teach is I really love to teach like social emotional lessons and social skills lessons. I love teaching kids about their emotions and recognizing how to handle them. I think emotional intelligence is so incredibly important and it is a skill. People don't realize that. They don't realize that you have to train yourself how to regulate your emotions, much like you'd have to teach yourself how to read or do math. It's not something we all innately know how to do. And if our families, hey, hey, so if our families aren't maybe the best at modeling emotional regulation, we maybe didn't learn it. So I think it's important to understand that everybody has feelings, and sometimes they're good feelings, sometimes they're bad feelings, and sometimes we get overwhelmed, and it's okay. So I think it's just those are my favorite things, honestly, is to teach the social emotional lessons. But like I said, I like to teach history too. Um, but I also think history, because I like people, I'm definitely like a social sciences person, and I find history to be very fascinating because the one thing that I have realized is that people are, we're not unique. And let me rephrase how that is. It's like we all have similar patterns of behavior. And so it's interesting to see how things in the past happened so that we can learn about those things so we don't repeat them in the future. And that is why I think it's interesting to study history because you can see what happened in the past and you can see when people are making similar mistakes again, and then hopefully we can kind of correct it. So. Yeah, science is fun too. I've done some pretty fun science experiments. One of the ones I really enjoyed when I taught elementary school was we were learning about like mining and we mined chocolate chip cookies. I know that's very basic because it was elementary school, and I always loved teaching about magnets. Kids always thought that was a lot of fun. So it's all right. You're fine. We're cool. Um, but yeah, and I'm really excited to see some of my students that are returning next year too. I wonder what they've been up to over the summer. I'm excited to hear what they've been up to, if it's anything cool or honestly, the biggest thing that you notice, I know as kids you guys don't see it, but as adults we see it, is how much they've grown. I know that's such a like an old person thing to say, but yes, to see like they left as little seventh graders and then they come back as eighth graders and they change a lot. So that's interesting too. We've done cooking activities. I did a lot of cooking activities when I taught summer school, and because I think it's a great way to learn how to follow directions. It's a great way to teach reading and math skills and put it all together because we learn best when we're actually applying our skills. People don't learn best just by sitting and listening. They actually need to get in there and do it and kind of learn from their own mistakes. So I think cooking is a great way to do that. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Nothing bad's ever happened when I taught cooking. When I was learning cooking in home ec, though, I definitely screwed up some. It was chocolate chip cookies. I made it with my group, and we left out the baking soda, and it came out like flat and disgusting. And we put too much sugar in them, so like flat, disgusting, and crunchy. But and they did burn too. We left them in too long. But that was the worst. Like nothing horrible, no like school burning down stories or anything. But we've done some cooking here. And yeah, fractions are always fun to teach with food. When I would teach third grade, we taught about fractions and with candy bars and pizza and stuff and gummy worms, and kids always liked that. I think it was definitely more like applicable when they could do it themselves than when you're like, oh, here's a ruler, let's measure a paper clip. It was more fun when it was like, hey, let's measure a gummy worm. Fractions are my weakness too. I'm not a math person, but when I taught in the elementary setting and I was like a push-in inclusion teacher, I always got assigned to the math classes. So I learned to be a math person. And I always told my students, because they're like, I'm never going to need this again, ever, ever. And I'm like, you never know. If you become a teacher, what they're going to ask you to teach, and then you're going to have to learn how to be the expert on it. So I had to go back and reteach myself some stuff because I had put it in the back of my brain of I'm never going to use it again. And then I had to use it again. So never say never. And math is one of the things you will use every day. I know it sounds such like a teachery thing to say, but it is true. You will use it. Oh, that's cool. Well, welcome. So does anybody else have any other questions? If not, I will probably go ahead and log off here. Make sure though to leave a comment below if there's any kind of videos that you would like to see. I'm looking for your ideas. I want to make content that is helpful for you all. So sometimes I think I know what's helpful for you all, and then I'm wrong. So it's nice to know, and I want this to be a community where people can learn and grow. So, just, my biggest advice to you, there was actually a research study shown, and they studied what made people well-liked or popular or whatever. And the researchers went to several schools and they modeled they studied the well-liked students. And they found that the popular kids weren't necessarily the most athletic or the prettiest or the smartest. They were the ones who liked the most people. So just in a nutshell, the hot take was they found that people who liked and were friendly and outgoing and show love to other people, more people liked them in return, because it's really hard to not like somebody who's nice to you. It's really easy to not like somebody who isn't nice to you and who is indifferent and who isn't very friendly or warm. So my advice that I will share is to try to be friendly to people, be kind, be a good listener, use active listening skills, and just try to get to know people. A little tip about building relationships is people like to talk about themselves. We all do. And if you can let somebody talk about themselves and you can active listen, so you can, agree with them or ask them more questions about what they're talking about, that makes people feel comfortable. And when they feel comfortable, they're more likely to want to hang around you and become your friend. So that'd be my advice going in, is just try to go in with a positive attitude, try to be friendly. This works with your teachers as well. Try to be friendly to your teachers, to your classmates. Try to just be positive. And I think that'll help you a lot. And making sure that, you try your best on your schoolwork, try to stay organized, not fall behind on stuff so you don't get overwhelmed. If you've got time to work ahead on things, I always advise work ahead, because you'll be grateful. I've never regretted when I worked ahead on something. So I think that you'll have an amazing start to your year. Just try to keep positive about it. Practice those positive self-talk in the morning. Look in the mirror, say good things to yourself, because your brain doesn't know the difference between whether someone else is saying it or you're saying it. So I do that all the time. I look in the mirror and I say, you're intelligent, you're kind, you're smart, you're a good teacher. I tell myself all of this stuff and it makes me feel better. So those things are very helpful. Well, you gotta find out why. You gotta ask them why. Maybe they have a valid reason for disliking Shrek. So, and we are all entitled to our different opinions, but that would be my advice for you. It's my advice pretty much to everybody. Just treat people kindly, and you will. And there's gonna be people that not always gonna like you. You're not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, but overall, most people are going to enjoy being around you if you are making an active effort to be a kind, sociable person. All right, I'm going to go ahead. I've been on here for about an hour now. I'm going to go ahead and log out, but thank you so much for joining the live, and I will have another video going live on Sunday, and then I hope to go live sometime next week. Maybe it'll be in the evening because it'll be after my contract hours are over, but I can show you around my classroom. And but thank you so much for coming and joining me, and I'll see you all later. Bye.